What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharp, and welcome to Sharp Shorts. Let's get right into it. So, the New York Post caught New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and NFL reporter Dianna Russini vacationing together in Sedona, Arizona before the NFL owners meetings, which happened in Phoenix, I want to say last week sometime. The luxury hotel that they were staying at was a hotel for couples. Now, on its face, to the layperson, it might seem fairly normal, right? Two consenting adults vacationing in beautiful Arizona. They're both adults, they're both consenting, nothing to see here, except, of course, for the fact that they are both married. Now, anyone who's followed me over the years, you guys know that I've never been one to bring the moral cathedral into my content. Okay, I'm not the guy who's going to be like, what in the world is Mike Vrabel doing with Dianna Russini? What is going on here? I can't believe what's happening. No, I know exactly what this is. Dianna Russini's attractive, and Mike Vrabel is smashing her. Okay, and listen, I'm sure that most NFL head coaches in an honest moment, married or not, would admit, yes, that they would absolutely smash Dianna Russini and other attractive NFL reporters, sideline reporters, etc., if they had the chance, either marriage be damned. Okay, so I'm not going to be the guy who's going to come on here and convict either of these two in the court of morality or the court of public opinion. Call me immoral, call me a bad guy. You can say, Donovan, you're not pro-family and all the rest of that. Say whatever you want. I don't care. Okay, that's not who I am. I've never been Mr. Morality guy. So if that's what you're looking for, go somewhere else. Because I'm sure there are plenty of other content creators, pundits who are crucifying these two at the altar of morality. Okay, that's not going to be me. You can go somewhere else for that. However, what I will point out is why I have preached for years, since I started this whole thing back in 2014, to stay away from certain women in terms of a long-term relationship. Okay, for years and years, guys, for over a decade, I have told my guys to never commit to a woman who goes to bars or clubs, right? Never commit to women who have male friends. Never commit to women who go on girls trips, Panama, Las Vegas, or Panama City, Las Vegas, spring break, okay? And then, of course, among those is never commit to women who travel for work, all right? Well, it is now time to add another never to this list. And the interesting thing here is that it's always been on this list, right? But I've never really verbalized it or had to verbalize it, although it is directly related to and tied to never committing to women who travel for work. And that new never is to never commit to women who work jobs where they are consistently surrounded by men with power, money, and influence. Specifically, professional athletes, coaches, general managers, owners, and so forth. Gentlemen, the situation we're talking about here, it is as old as time itself. All right, anyone who has followed professional sports for as long as I have, we've seen these kind of inappropriate relationships happening between attractive female sports reporters, sports writers, and professional athletes and coaches. All right. Rachel Nichols and Jimmy Butler, they come to mind immediately. All right. For those of you who don't know, Rachel Nichols is an attractive NBA insider who's covered the NBA for years. And Jimmy Butler, a small forward who now plays for the Golden State Warriors, was playing for the Miami Heat at the time of the incident. Now, what incident am I talking about? Well, the 2020 NBA playoffs were held in Orlando, Florida, I think at the Disney complex because of the pandemic. They didn't want the C-19 to get out and all this other kind of stuff. They called this the bubble. Well, during those playoffs, it was reported that one particular evening, there was a loud, boisterous noise coming from the hotel room of Jimmy Butler. And when someone went up there to see what was going on, Jimmy allegedly came to the door drenched in sweat and out of breath, and Rachel Nichols was allegedly in the room with him. Now, Butler's excuse was that he was dribbling a basketball. Okay, now, and who knows? Maybe Jimmy Butler was indeed dribbling a basketball. But I think if common sense prevails, I think we know that, number one, he was doing much more than just dribbling a basketball. And number two, there was at least one other person in that hotel room with him. Let's just be reasonable. Let's just be honest, okay? Jimmy Butler was absolutely smashing Rachel Nichols. He might have been dribbling a basketball, but he was doing other things in that hotel room. Erin Andrews, that's another example, right? Most people remember Erin Andrews because a lot of people remember that she was awarded that $55 million settlement over an incident. The incident that happened at the hotel room involved with, the guy was stalking, was taking nude photos, like she was undressing in the window and all the rest of that. She got a big payout for that. But few remember that she was in a very short-lived, not very publicized relationship with then New York Mets third baseman David Wright. Okay, Erin Andrews was a reporter who was in a relationship with a player, and his name was David Wright. More recently, as far as situations like these go, there is the Joy Taylor fiasco that recently just blew up. Joy Taylor was in a relationship with Charlie Dixon, who was an executive vice president at Fox Sports. Okay, Joy Taylor was in a relationship with him while they were both married. The whole thing blew up. Okay, Joy Taylor literally slept her way to the top at Fox Sports. But when her makeup artist, I think her name was Nushin Faraji, when Faraji filed that lawsuit, the whole house of cards came crumbling down. Charlie Dixon was fired, and Joy Taylor was eventually phased out and let go from FS1. No one's seen Joy Taylor on TV since. I know she does YouTube videos where she gives her terrible takes about dating and relationships and the size of a man's sausage. But outside of that, no one has really seen her in relevant sports programming. Rachel Lindsay, that's another example. You guys remember Rachel Lindsay, the first Black Bachelorette? Well, Rachel Lindsay, now she's not a reporter, but after she got engaged to Brian Abasolo, who won that season of The Bachelorette, I remember specifically Rachel Lindsay spending a lot of time around professional athletes right after the engagement. She was all over ESPN. She was always interviewing professional athletes, basketball players, football players, doing podcasts with them. I remember this one time I saw her interviewing Kevin Durant, other star athletes, and people wonder why and how her relation ended with Abasolo. Look, I don't know because I wasn't there. But one thing I will definitely put money on is the fact that Lindsay was spending a lot of time around professional athletes. That probably contributed to some degree to that breakup. And now we have the Russini Vrabel thing. And for the record, let's just be fair. Let's not get this twisted. Let's not let this get lost. Dianna Russini is not a stranger to these kinds of controversies. Okay, back in 2015, the wife of then Washington Redskins general manager, she accused Russini of sleeping with her husband to get information on a certain story. Okay, there have been some other accusations and other grumblings as well involving Russini. So Russini appears to have a history of this kind of thing. But guys, this is not surprising. Okay, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying that this is the right thing. Okay, but I'm not about to chastise these two because guys, heaven knows, listen, man, I've done far worse in my life. But I'm not surprised by this, and I don't think a lot of you guys are. Okay, the fact of the matter is that anytime you have attractive women around athletes in any regard, things are going to get complicated. All right, attractive men and attractive women are going to hook up, guys. That's just life. Then a lot of people, specifically women, they always like to talk about, well, why do these networks hire these Instagram model lookalikes? Why do these networks hire these super attractive women with these shapely, hindquarters and ample bosoms and flat stomachs? And why do they have to hire all these hot girls? Okay, well, the answer to that is simple. Because athletes don't want to talk to women who are not attractive. They want to talk to attractive women. Okay, these networks are keenly aware that professional athletes, coaches, and other personnel in professional athletic organizations are going to be far more likely to talk to and give interviews to attractive women. This isn't to say that unattractive women don't get these interviews, because if you follow sports, you do see that unattractive women do get these interviews. But if you really take stock of a lot of these interviews, these sit-down interviews, sideline reports, it's attractive women who are approaching these athletes, coaches, and other personnel. These men are far more likely to talk to attractive women than unattractive women, and these networks know that, and they trade on that. All right, you can call it what you want, call it exploitation, call it misogyny, call it whatever you want. Okay, this is nature taking its course. And don't get it twisted, guys. Stuff like this happens in every sport. It happens in baseball. It happens in hockey. It happens in football overseas. Again, I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not going to sit here and justify it, but it is what it is. Okay? And what it is when you have attractive women around men constantly with power and influence and money, affairs are a mathematical inevitability. And this is exactly why I advise my guys not to marry or commit to women like Dianna Russini or Erin Andrews or Rachel Nichols or women like her. I'm not saying that these women are bad people or terrible human beings or anything like that. But as a man, you're going to have to understand that at some point, no matter how much your wife or girlfriend loves you, If she spends enough time around these men, eventually something is going to happen. It's just human nature. We're all well aware of workplace romances. I've been involved in a few myself. Well, we know that the reason they happen more often than they should is because we also know that when you spend time with persons of the opposite sex for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, sometimes even more, feelings are bound to get involved. Okay, it doesn't happen all the time, but it certainly happens enough, and we all know. We all know these things. So you take that principle, and then you throw in professional athletes who are rich, good-looking, in phenomenal shape, and so on and so forth, or the coaches who are in charge of these top 1%ers, add all the money and the influence and the status and the clout these men have, then drop an attractive woman into the mix whose job it is to talk to these guys, whose job is to get information out of these guys, whose job is to be around these guys, and in some cases, whose job is to travel with these guys, and ultimately things are going to happen. Another woman that comes to mind, and I'm not saying that she's been accused of anything or that she has these kind of proclivities, but Joe Buck, who is the lead announcer, the play-by-play announcer for ESPN's Monday Night Football, his wife, Michelle Beisner Buck, often does interviews with these professional athletes leading up to these Monday Night Football games. Sometimes it's at an athlete's house, sometimes it's at a restaurant, et cetera, et cetera. And again, due respect to Joe Buck and his wife. But if something were to come out similar to this Dianna Russini thing involving Michelle Beisner Buck, nobody would be surprised. Michelle Beisner Buck is an attractive woman, and she is always around these professional athletes and coaches. So the moral of the story here, guys, is to never, ever, ever commit to certain types of women. Okay? Never commit to women who travel for work, guys. Never commit to women whose job is to be around rich, powerful, influential men, and never commit to attractive women who are sports reporters or insiders. Because I'm here to tell you, no matter how high your value is, no matter how great a shape you're in, no matter how much money you make, regardless of all of those things, professional athletes and coaches have far more dating market value than you do. Chances are they're in far better shape than you are, and they all make a lot more money than you do. And if your woman, your wife, or your girlfriend spends enough time around these guys, there is a better than average chance that she is probably going to end up in bed with one or more of these guys. And honestly, I still have no idea how Rachel Nichols was able to talk her way out of that Jimmy Butler situation. If you guys watch her now, she still has her wedding ring on. I have no idea how she is still married to her husband. I really, really don't. That is some serious girl game there, because the evidence is insurmountable. Anyone with common sense, and you look at their interviews together and the looks they gave each other, it is as clear as day that they absolutely smashed or were smashing. Okay? But Mr. Russini, Diana's husband, he's going to have a serious talk with his adulterous wife. Okay? Hopefully, listen, I can sit here and say that hopefully he doesn't end up like Rachel Nichols' husband, but something tells me that he probably will. He'll probably accept it. He'll probably buy whatever BS story that she tells him. It was just a vacation. I wasn't in his room. I was just hanging out with him at the pool. I was there with my friends. He'll probably buy it, and they'll continue to be married. Now, I know that there are some women who are going to come into the comments and squawk, well, what about Mike Vrabel's wife? What's she supposed to do? Mrs. Vrabel is going to do what Mrs. Vrabel has always done, and that is not a goddamn thing. Because the wives and girlfriends of professional athletes and coaches, they are all keenly aware of that unspoken contract they sign when they marry or get into relationships with these men. And that unspoken contract is simple. Their men are going to smash other women. Their men are going to smash other women. It's as simple as that. That's always the way it's been, and it's always the way it's going to be. Because I can guarantee you that this is not Mrs. Vrabel's first rodeo in this regard. This may be the first time it's ever been made public, but Mike Vrabel's wife isn't going anywhere. Why? It's because she knows that this is part of what comes with being married to men like this. Okay? And let's not forget this. Let's not forget this little nugget. Mike Vrabel is a 3-time Super Bowl winner. Okay? He's won Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. And the funny thing is that he was never the most popular player on the team. It was always Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, who was the coach, Julian Edelman. Those guys were getting all the headlines. Hell, Teddy Bruschi, who played right beside him on the defense as a defensive linebacker, he got more pub and press and publicity than Mike Vrabel. But you still know that Mike Vrabel had you don't think that Mike Vrabel had other chicks on the road that he was smashing? You don't think that Mrs. Vrabel ever found out a rumor or got a text or a DM from some Instagram thought in Baltimore or in Tampa after he got done playing a road game? Hey, I had relations with your husband. You don't think she's ever been privy to that? Okay, all right, so fine. Okay, so she might pretend to be upset like Kobe's wife. You remember Kobe's wife, Vanessa, when he was giving that quote unquote apology? He was just kind of looking at him. Dude, nobody bought that Vanessa Bryant was really upset. She had to look upset for the cameras, okay? Mrs. Vrabel might do the same thing. She might make him apologize, right? He might buy her $1 million ring to apologize, but at the end of the day, she knows that this is a part of the cost that comes with being married to a man with 3 Super Bowl rings as a player who's also now coached in the Super Bowl. And if she doesn't like it, then she can go off and find another Mike Vrabel. But she knows that if she does, A, Mike Vrabel number 2 has to like her and then choose her again. And B, Mike Vrabel number 2 is probably going to have other women just like Mike Vrabel number 1. So she may as well stay. Gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, every wife and girlfriend of a professional athlete makes this covenant with themselves. Okay? They know what it comes with, and they are willing to pay the price to live the lives they live. No, they don't like getting cheated on. Okay? They're not jumping up and down. No, they don't like it. But by the same token, they don't let their silly little egos get in the way because they know at the end of the day, they have his children. Okay? They've got the house. They've got the car. They've got the influence. They're the ones in the press box. They're the ones getting VIP treatment at the stadium. Not his little Instagram side chick. Not some 43-year-old thought, reporter who may be attractive, more attractive than more 43-year-olds. No. They know at the end of the day he's coming home to them. So they don't let their egos get in the way. Yes, I'm sure Mrs. Vrabel is probably a little bit hurt and she's probably embarrassed. But she, like most wives and girlfriends of professional athletes, will get over it. Subscribe and like the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you like this content. Share the video if you like this content a lot. And if you really like this content, shoot your boy a super chat and I will shout you out on the next video. Thanks for watching.